Global Prophetic Alliance South Africa channel. This YouTube live this morning, just, I don't know how much you can see. I'm not sure how much you can see. When I go live on YouTube, I know that it's just a much broader kind of picture. But please, if you will just excuse any mess that you might pick up. It is, and as you can see, I'm still not back in my office, but you know how that goes. So the house that we rent, the landlord is busy doing some just some repairs and, you know, one or two things that have needed to be sorted out. And so the contractors are coming in and out the whole time and fixing leaks and repainting walls and busy doing the drywall in my office that has started crumbling because apparently the wrong material was used or something like that. Lovely Louise, good morning. Wonderful Volna, good morning. So we have contractors coming in and out, so everything's all over the place and things are sitting everywhere, and it's just one of those things, you know. And also obviously builders in South Africa anyway, in Cape Town, builders holidays are coming up, and so everyone wants to get done and get finished and get sorted and everything. So good morning everybody, special Salome, welcome to Cape Town. Can we all, my wonderful community, give a big welcome in the comments to Salome, who has just she's moved down to Cape Town, and she's part of our Igero School of Prophets and part of our CWOW community. And so we are just extending Cape Town's arms wide open to special Salome. And we are so grateful that Cape Town gets to have this powerful prophetic voice in its midst. So welcome, my lovely, welcome. Thank you, my gorgeous Cole. So these were an early Christmas present from my husband. You know, he's so amazing. So he has had them tinted by the optometrist, so they go dark, so I can wear them as sunglasses. So I'm very snazzy now. I still have my other glasses, but these are, you know, I have a very specific prescription because my eyes are odd. and I have very multifocals that are like multifocals. So I can never go for like a small little, you know, round frame. I have to go for because that's the only way the optometrist can fit my prescription into a pair of glasses. So there we go. Thank you very much. It's, yeah, needing to get used to them a little bit, but they seem to be working well. Excited to try the sunglasses effect out. So this morning, my lovely people, good morning to everybody that I haven't had a chance to say good morning to yet this morning, but I need to get on with this morning's teaching because I'm going to have to finish off at 8:30 because I have a 9 o'clock appointment and I still have to get there. So we're going to move on swiftly, but welcome to everybody who's joining me on YouTube Live. And I think I saw that one of you fabulous people shared the link on the group, so that's brilliant. Thank you so much. And just a quick shout out for these gorgeous earrings that I was given for Christmas. Aren't they absolutely stunning? Really, really loving the wild look right now, so going for that. And then look at these. My gorgeous Nicole, she's part of our School of Prophets, her mom made this pearl necklace for me. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? And pearls, I don't often wear pearls, actually. Yeah, I don't often wear pearls, but I know they represent amazing things. So I'm wearing them with confidence that those amazing things are coming our way, not just my way, but all of our way. Sorry, I'm just moving things around on the counter to try and make space for my notes. So yes, okay, welcome. What are we talking about today? Today we are learning about the new Hebrew month of Tevet, which begins at sunset on Sunday, the 21st of December. So this Sunday, Tevet begins at sunset on Sunday, and it runs through to sunset on Sunday, the 18th of January, 2026. So the month of Tevet runs across two of our months across December and January, as the Hebrew months often do, and it starts this Sunday evening at sunset and ends on a Sunday evening, the 18th of January 2026. And the reason I am talking about the month of Tevet today, obviously I will only see you again on Monday, and it will already be then the 1st of Tevet, but it's not bad. It's just that the month of Tevet is a very significant month in the Hebrew calendar. I want to give you an opportunity to prepare for the crossing over on Sunday evening, and also the stepping into everything that Tevet brings to you, because it is a month that needs to be prepared for. Why, you may be asking me? Let me explain. So, the month of Tevet, the Hebrew month of Tevet, is the 4th month of the civil calendar, and it is the 10th month of the biblical calendar. Okay, the 4th month of the civil calendar, the 10th month of the biblical calendar. So, the month of Tevet is associated with Dan. So we know that all the Hebrew months are associated with one of the tribes of Israel, and the month of Tevet is associated with the tribe of Dan, or with Dan, who was one of Jacob's sons. Now, Dan's name means this: God is my judge, to grow up and mature, to rule, to execute judgment. Okay, just I want you to pay attention to those things, what the name Dan means in light of the meaning, the prophetic significance of the month of Tevet. So Dan, the name Dan means this. It means to judge, to grow up and mature, something that's very necessary on the earth right now, in and outside of the church, to judge, to grow up and mature, to rule, and to execute judgment. Okay, because once we are grown up and mature and we step fully into the authority that allows us to rule and reign like Jesus did, then we are allowed, God trusts us to judge and to execute judgment. Okay, not in a mean, nasty, like, oh, if you disagree with me, you're wrong and I'm going to judge you, but in a way that judges the behavior of believers who call themselves believers. And, I know we all immediately quote that verse, judge not lest ye be judged. And I have actually done a teaching on this, which I think I called it don't be judgy. Go and watch that if you're confused about the judging thing. I don't have time to get into it this morning. Go watch that teaching. I'm sure I called it Don't Be Judgy or something. Yeah, maybe somebody can find the link and share it. But yeah, so watch that. So this month of Dan, so that's just what the name Dan means. Okay. Then this month of Dan, and you'll see why it correlates so well with our ending of the Gregorian year and stepping into a new Gregorian year. Okay, have I lost you all in the comments now? I was getting frantic comments and now I'm getting no comments. Have I lost you all? Are you all still there? Tracking with me? Ready to hear what Tevet has for you? What your responsibility is during the month of Tevet? So this is the thing, still here. Thank you, my lovely Louise friend. It's amazing. My beautiful Louise, who lives in New Zealand. She's South African, but she lives in New Zealand. But she's so faithful, and she loves and supports me so consistently from so far away. But also, obviously, because she is also part of the global South that is growing and glowing for Jesus. So the month of Tevet is a month of convergence. Now, I actually was looking back to see when I preached the message on convergence, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think I found in like 2021. There are a couple of those messages that I want to go back to and, bring the new revelation from the Lord into. But so it is a month of convergence. What do I mean by that? It is a month. So when I preached on convergence way back when, if you knew me in 2021 or you were following me then, as convergence can mean many different things, okay? But in that specific instance that God showed me at the time, it was a convergence of past, present, and future. It was God's Kairos time converging with our Chronos time, okay? So God's Kairos time converging with our Chronos time. That was the specific revelation around convergence that God gave me way back then. Okay, and I think as we understand and acknowledge that we are in an era of a war in the natural, war in the spiritual, we also understand the convergence, particularly of past and present, because the world has been here before. History repeats itself because we don't seem to ever learn from what has happened previously. History repeats itself. So we can see in this era of war, we see history repeating itself. We see the past and the present converging. How does the future converge into that? The future, because obviously there is God's will and God's destiny, and there is a remnant of believers globally decreeing and declaring God's will over nations, God's will, bringing God's kingdom to earth, bringing, being glory carriers for God, and as we do that, so the future converges with the past and the present, because God is outside of time. He doesn't have to operate within the bounds of time that we do, and he then, brings his part and is just amazing. So, but I want us to look at this slightly more individually in this particular month of Tevet. And you can go back and you can listen to all the messages I've ever preached on Tevet or any other one of the Hebrew months. And you can see that each time, it's never the same message. Some of the things stay the same. The tribe that the Hebrew month is related to, the letter in the alphabet that the Hebrew month is related to, those things stay the same. The instances or the incidents or the occasions in history, historical occasions that occurred in those months, they stay the same. But the prophetic message always has a very specific flavor to it that God brings to me as we go through each cycle of the Hebrew year. He brings a very specific prophetic significance to the month that I'm in, the year that we're particularly in, because obviously each cycle of the Hebrew year, the season might have changed, the epoch might have changed, etc. So this is here. So this is for us as individuals. Okay, you can apply it to yourself as an individual and then apply it to your community, your ministry, whatever you want to apply it to. But it's this. Okay, pay attention to this. Write this down if you can. We need to be looking at where we are now, okay, and where we were this time last year. So where we are now and where we were this time in 2024, and where would we like to be this time next year? So we need to look at where we are now, okay, where we were a year ago, and where we would like to be in a year's time. Why? Because the month of Tevet is the month of ensuring that you are aligned correctly. I'm putting the words together in my brain as I speak, needing to make it make sense to you. So the month of Tevet is the month as we end. So this is what happens, okay? We get to the end of the year, and because we work according to the Gregorian calendar, we are now getting to the end of the year. It is December, it is Christmas, it's festive season. If you are in South Africa or probably anywhere really in the global south, it is our long school holidays because it's summer. So it is our summer. Our schools break up at the beginning of December and they only go back 6 weeks later. Our varsities have broken up and they only go back in February. It is summer holiday time in South Africa. And in Cape Town particularly, it is a phenomenon. December, the December holidays are a phenomenon because firstly, everyone flocks down to Cape Town to holiday in Cape Town. We get an influx of tourists from all around the world because it's our best months. And you cannot get anything done in Cape Town exactly, Louise, December. We have a very specific name for it that translates across all cultures and languages and races within our nation. And in Cape Town, over the festive season, you often can't get anything done for love or money because everyone is on holiday. So your plumber is probably surfing, your electrician is probably, I don't know, has gone to his holiday home, beachfront holiday home or something. It's very difficult to get anything done, which is why we have what we call our builders' holidays over this time. So companies close completely. You have to buy things before a certain time. The only things that stay open are shops, like where you can buy food and stuff, and malls. Otherwise, everything else, any service you might need, anything, it shuts down. It is holiday season here, which is wonderful. It is wonderful. Except for the fact that every year, every end of year for the last, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 years, God has said to me, Sally, my people need to finish strong. They need to finish strong. Okay. Now, why does God say that? And be all like, oh, of course, because we kind of often limp across the line from the 31st of December to the 1st of January. Cape Town is party central over that time. New Year's Eve, the evening of the 31st of December, is everyone is partying, up a storm all around Cape Town, and we often tend to limp into the 1st of January rather than charge into the 1st of January. But the month of Tevet is the month to leap forward. Why? Because the constellation in the sky associated with the month of Tevet is Capricorn, the goat, okay? Don't be, oh, goat, no. Everything has a positive and a negative. Nothing is wholly negative. Nothing is wholly positive. Okay. So everything is a positive and a negative. But goats represent leaping. Okay. Goats tend to leap. And if you think of those mountain goats and those, I forget what they're called, but I think they've seen 1 or 2 of them on Table Mountain. They literally live on the side of the mountain and they leap from place to place. Just it's incredible to watch. We're supposed to be like that. We're supposed to be leaping forward in terms of the Gregorian calendar, the Western calendar, into our new year, rather than crawling across the finish line like a snail without a house, a slug actually, yeah, like that. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we leap forward when so many of us are so tired? The battle has been so fierce. Everything has just been so intense. How do we leap forward in this month of Tevet? By doing this, by taking the time to sit and sitting with the Holy Spirit, sitting at the feet of Jesus and saying this, Jesus, this is where I am now. This is where I am. This is where I was at the end of last year. This is where I want to be at the end of next year. Do the things that made me angry and offended me last year, do those same things still impact me this year? The things that got my back up, the things that frustrated me, the things that offended me, the things that drove me mad, the things that, made me say, can't wait for this year to be over so I can just step into a new year, because we all hold on to this weird belief that the 1st of January our whole lives will change and look completely different. That's why I always say to people, for me, and this is since I was young, before I even really knew Jesus, I found New Year's Eve very anticlimactic, because I'm like, okay, 12 o'clock comes, yay, Happy New Year. You wake up to the same life the next morning, the same stuff, nothing has miraculously shifted from 11:59 on the 31st of December to 12:01 on the 1st of January. But it is a month. Are the things that upset you last year still upsetting you this year? Are the people you couldn't forgive last year still the people you can't forgive this year? Are the offenses you carried last year still the same offenses that you carry this year? And then, and then when you look forward, when you look ahead, do you want to be free of all that by this time next year? Where do you want to be by this time next year? Where do you want your marriage to be by this time next year? Where would you like your children to be by this time next year? Where would you like your life to be, your finances to be, your job to be? This, please, don't hear me. I'm not encouraging you to make 1,000 New Year's resolutions you won't stick to. And I'm also not saying, if you think positively enough about all of these things, it will all have shifted by next year, by this time next year, or if I'm not encouraging any kind of new agey, if I envision it for long enough, it will manifest itself. No. But what I am saying is that if you can have an honest conversation with the Lord, and you can say to the Lord, listen, I know I've carried this stuff for a whole year, and you've asked me to give it to you, and I just haven't wanted to. But now I'm going to give it to you, because this time next year, I want to be in a different place. I want my finances to be in a different place. Jesus, what do I need to do to make that happen? How can you and I, Lord, co-labor to make this look different next year? I want my children to be in a different position next year. What do I need to pray? I mean, if you've got young children, you could probably, encourage that to happen. But if you have adult children like I had, prayer is the only thing. Pray and little nuggets of wisdom every now and again when you get a chance to kind of land one, But, how are you going to pray for your adult children this coming year so that you can see their lives shift and change before this time next year? How are you going to, what are you going to do for your marriage this year to see it in a different space this time next year? And for some of you, it's really prayer. It's praying for your husband if he's not quite where you are, or whatever the case may be. And I'm also not saying that this is some kind of magical answer to everything, okay? Because God's will be done, and we need to make sure that our prayers are aligned with God's will, and they're not just our own soulish prayers, okay? So that we're aligning with God's will, not our own soulish stuff, okay? So let's make sure that we're not doing that. We want to be aligned with God's will. So I'm not saying that if you tell the Lord all of these things now that magically, we get magic and faith a little bit confused often as believers, We think God is a genie, and if we rub the lamp enough times, he'll pop out and grant us our 3 wishes, and it's not like that. Some of it will require a lot of work on yourself, looking at yourself, being honest about yourself, and asking the Lord to help you shift those things. Some of it will require, maybe if it's your marriage, your spouse will need to put some work in. Maybe they're not prepared to, but you can pray and trust the Lord. And, but what I'm saying is, it's not a case of, okay, Jesus, well, I'm going to give this all to you now, and then in a year's time, I'm going to magically expect my life to look completely different. Like right now, I have 10 Rand in the bank, and Jesus, by December next year, I'm going to have 10 million Rand in the bank. No, not that. But it's being honest and saying to the Lord, this is where I was last year. This is how much progress I've made in some of these places over the year. And these are the areas where I haven't actually made as much progress as I would like to. And so what do I need to do, Lord, to correct that, to make sure that when I sit and have this conversation with you next year, I can be like, okay, wow, Jesus, yes. Like you and I, we dealt with some stuff. And it starts with us. It always starts with us first. Okay, so this is an important, because in order to finish strong, you need to recognize how the areas where you finished weak last year, the areas where you limped over the finish line of the year, how do you change that this year? How does that look different? And I mean, I've said this a few times, but a leader that I really respect, a business coach leader that I really respect, said to me once, and I think I've said this before to you as well, that people have to hear something at least 7 times before they actually receive it and understand it. God doesn't take a holiday. God isn't sitting on Camps Bay Beach, which is in Cape Town, with his feet up and under his sun umbrella, saying, oh, okay, I'm just going to take, and neither does the enemy take a holiday. And which is why often during the festive season, some of the most horrific tragedies seem to occur, particularly if you're in South Africa on the roads, because there's just so much traffic. And it's often because as believers, we've just taken our eye off the ball. We've forgotten that God is sovereign, but he chooses to co-labor with us. And we still have responsibilities. We still have responsibilities over this time. So the month of Tevet is a month to beware of making false alignments. In other words, maybe you've been offered something and it looks like it is a good offer to go into the new year with. You need to just sit with Jesus and ask him, how are you aligning yourself here? Are you aligning yourself correctly? Because the month of Tevet is the month to beware of making false alignments. Check your alignments. Don't be so carried away by December and Christmas and holidays that somebody offers you something and you just accept it because you don't want to go back to your same job next year. And this just looks like a good thing. Remember, there are lots of good things that aren't God things. So let's just be aware of how we align ourselves over December, how we, go into the year to come, what our alignments look like over that space. And then let us make sure that we leap forward, that we leap into this new season. People say, oh, yeah, but don't pay attention to the new year in the Gregorian calendar because it doesn't mean anything, because the Hebrew calendar, is the calendar that God put in place. Yes, a lot of the Hebrew calendar God put in place, okay, not all of it. But God also is outside of time, so calendars don't particularly bother him. So he can take you forward at any point in time. He doesn't have to wait for New Year. He's not like, oh, come on, roll on the 31st of December so I can take this person forward. No. But the point is that in the Western world, it is our calendar. It is the calendar we have grown up with. It is the calendar we work with. God knows that. And so he doesn't sit on his throne and go, oh, well, okay, shame, they all work with the wrong calendars, so they're just not going to experience any of the benefit. No. He doesn't do that. He is well aware of the change of seasons relating to all the calendars. Hebrew calendar, Gregorian calendar, Chinese calendar. God is aware of those, exactly, my friend Claudia, those threshold events where we, in our human understanding, cross over into a different space and time because it is our calendar shift. And God can work with all of that. He's not, discombobulated by any of that. So I find the best way to really operate in this space is to take the prophetic significance of the Hebrew calendar, combine it with the season changes and shifts in the Gregorian calendar so that you're prepared for everything. So you're prepared to cross over on the 31st of December into the new season in terms of the Gregorian calendar with all the prophetic symbolism and significance of the Hebrew calendar. It's all about balance, Balance and understanding that no calendar is correct, actually, 100%. Not the Hebrew, not even the Chinese calendar, although I think it might be possibly the most correct, but no calendar is correct. So some interesting things happened in the month of Tevet in history. And I'm going to quickly look at that, and then I'm going to go. But so Esther was made queen on the 1st of Tevet. Okay. The Torah was translated into Greek on the 8th of Tevet. Ezra died on the 9th of Tevet. The Nebuchadnezzar siege of Jerusalem, the 10th of Tevet. And the Sadducees were ejected from the Sanhedrin on the 28th of Tevet. It is an important month, significant month. It is also the month where we see the end of Hanukkah, and which is a reminder that in the midst of destruction, there is mercy. Whatever you can see in your community, in your nation, in your family, in your ministry space, where there looks like there is destruction, like the devil is really like on this destruction thing, understand there is always mercy. In the midst of destruction, there is mercy. There are lessons. In the midst of an epoch of war, there is opportunity, there is mercy, there is still grace, there is still favor, God is still moving, God is still doing what God does because He is God and He isn't perturbed by that sort of thing. So the other thing about the month of Tevet, it is a month of holy indignation and righteous anger. Okay, hear me. A month of holy indignation and righteous anger. Okay, not just a month, because if you're on the roads in Cape Town at this time, it can be a month of indignation and anger, and neither of those things are righteous or holy. Road rage is a real thing on the roads in Cape Town at this time of year. So it is a month of holy indignation and righteous anger. So if you are feeling indignant about things, if you're feeling angry, if there is a righteous anger rising up in you, or if there is an anger rising up in you, you need to sit with God and say, is this righteous? Is this a righteous anger? And if it is, what am I supposed to do about it? Okay. And a holy indignation. It is also, and this is very interesting because it is a month and a season where we tend to overindulge. We buy too much food, we cook too much food, we eat too much food. Yeah, we overdo it on many different levels and scales and things during the festive season, particularly in South Africa, which has a very high alcohol usage and dependency rate, and that shoots up over the festive season. So we do tend to overindulge. And interestingly enough, the month of Tevet is known to be a good time to fast and purify. I'm not saying don't have your Christmas lunch or don't, treat yourself to things here and there. I'm saying just maybe a day or two here or there, a little bit of a fast and a purification. It's often also in festive season in South Africa, I'm sure it's like this everywhere. It's often also a time where you're surrounded by people you don't normally see, family that you don't really choose to spend time with, any other time. And so there is, a bit of that kind of being drawn back into roles that you previously used to play, because of the company that you're in, trigger points for lots of abuse survivors and, people who've survived trauma over the festive season. There are trauma triggers that occur when, big groups of family get together and all of that kind of thing. These are all things we need to be aware of. And we can't be aware of them if we're in a food coma or we've, overdone the alcohol side of things. So I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself, because now I sound like a real party pooper. I'm just saying let's just be wise. Let's just be aware. Let's just be spiritually on point. Let's just be conscious of the fact that we are in the world, but we are not of the world. And let us be those who are not of the world. Right, okay, so now if I don't end off now, I'm going to be late for my appointment. So let me just say this one last thing. First Thursdays, this evening, 211 Long Street, Cape Town, at the well, 7 o'clock. Come and worship the Lord. Come and just indulge in some extravagant worship for your King, over your King, at this time of year, this festive season time where we spend a lot of time extravagantly worshiping other things like money and food and drink. Let us come and worship the Lord extravagantly in this evening. So this evening, first Thursday, this evening, please come. We would love to see you there. Next Thursday is Christmas. Okay. I will do, thank you, my lovely Milani. I'm going to do a Christmas service, if you want to call it that. I'm going to do a Christmas message at 8 o'clock on Christmas morning. So if your churches are closed over this time of year, then feel free to log on to the GPA South Africa YouTube channel, tell your friends, and I will do just a short Christmas message. It probably won't be the traditional Christmas message, so just if you do invite people who don't normally listen to me, then prepare them for that. But I will do a short Christmas message on Christmas morning. There will be no Thirst Thursdays on Christmas Day. Okay, there will be no Thirst Thursdays on Christmas Day. But the next week, we will be back to Thirst Thursdays. So, and the 1st of January is a Thursday. We will be doing Thirst Thursdays. So if you've survived your New Year's Eve and you want to celebrate on New Year's Day, then come and celebrate with us. I love you all, I bless you all, and I will see you all soon.